Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Beyond the Summit studio. Summit EU coverage resumes today. We've got 6 best-of-1 matches coming up. We'll see 3 games with Fnatic, 3 games with Dog, as well as 3 games with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Fnatic will be coming up in the first 3, and up first on the docket is Team Dog. 2 of the favorites coming into this group stage, and, well, this should be a pretty darn good best-of-1 series. I'm Zyori, solo from the studio for now, and joining me remotely is Basekip. Basekip, what's up, man?
Not much. An odd combination of tired and excited and this and that and everything, but, well, excited for this match at the very least.
I can empathize. I am that same weird mix of tired, excited, confused, slash energized. So we're on the same page together, buddy, but it should be good. This has been a pretty good group stage so far for Summit EU. And looking forward to seeing how things will transpire. Roland, could we possibly look at group standings here before we hop into the draft? No, we can't look at group standings. Okay. The 6.81 patch unfortunately broke a couple of our cool production features. They changed around the APIs a little bit, and we will not be having teamfight recaps today. We have to get our programmers on it, and as exciting as the patch is, bad news for us here in the studio. Let's go ahead and hop right into the draft, and we'll get started. So, Basekip, I guess since this draft is going by rather slowly, what was your take on 6.81 in general?
I liked 6.81 in general. Honestly, I don't feel like it was a huge change. In all honesty, I think a couple of things have snuck under the radar. Some of the bug fixes are actually pretty big, like overall gameplay changes. I think Bulba jumped in the studio to point out the whole clockwork change with the cogs, and he didn't get any buff as a response to kind of compensate. So I think there are a couple of heroes like that where if you only read the balance changes for 6.81, you might have missed some things. But overall, I think it's a pretty good patch. Should be interesting to see how some of those AGS changes and whatnot play out as well.
Yeah, for sure. And well, these initial picks look pretty darn familiar. Naga as well as Mirana banned out by Fnatic, and there's your respect ban on the Wisp, and Dog also ban out the Bat Rider. Opens up for a first pick Lycan, and Fnatic go ahead and scoop up their tree. Also important to note, Vengeful Spirit is not accessible right now. Well, I guess she's pickable, but Gods tweeted or posted earlier that she's currently banned from the tournament. I actually don't know the nature of the bug, but there is some issue with Venge right now.
Oh, okay, so I can explain that for anybody who's maybe. Okay, no, I should just explain what's going on. So there's a bug with Vengeful Spirit at the moment. It's related to her aura. If she's killed by any non-hero unit, I think it is. So anything that can't receive the negative aura by killing her, then it tries to apply it to that unit, but it can't. So the whole game crashes and nobody can reconnect. The whole game status gets completely locked up. It's pretty widely posted about right now, so
it's a pretty big bug. Yeah,
it's pretty massive.
Okay, so that's at least one hero we won't be seeing today, and I'm sure there are some other little quirks and stuff here and there, but she's the only game-breaking one that we're aware of. I wasn't even aware of all the details, so there you go. Thank you for filling me in, my friend. Fnatic go ahead and second pick a Darkseer. So already this draft for Fnatic is a little bit different. Treant and Darkseer are 2 heroes that we've seen a fair amount recently, but first and second pick usually is not where these heroes can be found.
Yeah, I wonder if... So obviously Lycan received a couple of tweaks, but I wonder if Fnatic might be going for something a little bit EG-esque here. Something that I think we saw EG doing quite a bit was running. It was Darkseer, Jakiro, and Shadow Demon, I believe, as like a aggressive trial lane for the first 3-4 minutes of the game, just to put some really heavy pressure on the opposing safe lane and take that tower. And then after that, they just kind of left the Darkseer to do his own thing, especially because the dire Darkseer, the big advantage is if you can force down that tier 1 tower pretty quickly, then all he does is just take control of half of the Radiant jungle for the rest of the game and just continues to farm the bottom lane at the same time. So he can be a real nuisance to get rid of once you get him in that position.
Ah, okay, that could be interesting. But in these 2 picks, Fnatic do pass up the Invoker. So Dog get 6.8 scary heroes. We'll see how scary they are here. Lycan and Invoker with their first 2 picks. Now, Quas Wex Invoker did get touched a little bit. The tornado time and and there was another one. I know the tornado got a little bit of a nerf, and EMP also. Yeah, the delay is a little bit longer. But Exort wasn't touched at all. Exort Invoker is pretty much just as strong as he was pre-patch.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird to me, I guess, because obviously everybody was really concerned about Quaswex in pub, and I saw a lot of people complaining about Quaswex Invoker at the same level as like Terrorblade and Phoenix and whatnot. But as far as competitive is concerned, all I've seen for the past few weeks has been Quas Exort. So yeah. There you go.
We've seen a little bit of Wex kind of sprinkled here and there, but yeah, it's been primarily Exort Invokers for the most part. Unless it's like a special niche lineup or they really need some kind of control in the mid game, Exort just seems to be the way to go these days. But next ban's coming out. Team Dog will take out the Centaur as well as Enchantress. Fnatic ban out Nature's Prophet, and they will take their time thinking about this fourth ban. Both teams have actually burned a fair chunk of their bonus time, so they really are taking their time here. I mean, Fnatic do have pretty solid setup for kind of a wombo combo draft a little bit. You get your Vacuum, your follow-up Overgrowth, and they could grab something like a Jakiro that you mentioned. There's a lot of other AoE damage they could go for as well. Gyrocopter could be an option. Did Gyrocopter get any buffs? He's been so weak this patch. Let's see here. Homing Missile now hits invisible units. Homing Missile hits required to yeah, never mind. He didn't get any significant buffs. Forget about Homing Missile.
Well, not in the way that he's normally played, right?
Yeah.
But as it adds a little bit of utility to a skill that previously people just didn't give the time of day at all. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, now the missile is harder to destroy at the upper levels as well. So I guess that's something. It's a pretty minor buff though. I'll be curious to see if anybody tries to utilize Lich here, and with his change, not the Ags change as much as the Frost Armor being applicable to buildings now.
Man.
I really want to see that in action, in competitive, I mean.
I don't want to see Lich and Tree on the same team, along with Darkseer. I mean, obviously there's some really nice AoE synergy there, there's some really nice tower defending synergy, but I don't want to see tier 1 towers up for, 40 minutes. So I'm very happy to see Fnatic picking up the Disruptor here, in all honesty.
Yeah, it's still curious. I mean, Disruptor works well with this AoE synergy they've got going on, and I mean, Disruptor's okay against these heroes. He's pretty good against Lycan. He does move around pretty quickly. If it's a Quaswex Invoker, can be all right, but no hard counters for this Disruptor. And I'm just curious where Fnatic are going to end with this draft. Rubik will be the third choice here for Team Dog.
Yeah, one thing that we haven't mentioned is that not only have we been seeing a lot of Quaswex and Invoker, and it's been the more popular build recently, I think it's also just a slightly better build to be able to deal with the tree and maybe with Fnatic's lineup overall. When you have a whole bunch of summons, you don't really care so much about living armor when you're going in for a push. And Fnatic, again, going to be running the Wispless Tiny. They've actually been doing this quite a bit recently from what I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen a few games here and there in other tournaments where they were doing some weird like support Tinies running around, throwing Centaurs all over the place. I think they've done some like farm priority Tinies. It could be a Tiny mid. That wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, but against an Invoker, I'm not sure how well that Tiny would fare. Maybe they'll just plop him in a side lane and then grab the Hani hero here with their last pick. And we get to see Axe here from Team Dog. Now, we've seen Team Relax running a lot of Axe recently. Shotchlo had that 5-man dunk rampage the other day, which was quite exciting to watch. We pulled a BTS moment out from it. And I have mixed feelings about Axe right now. I think he's okay. I almost want to say I feel like he's been a little bit overpicked this past week because we've seen a lot of Axe picks and quite a few Axe bans as well. But I guess he's going to be the off laner here. This is kind of a greedy draft from Dog. All three of Lycan, Invoker, and Axe are going to want some pretty significant farm priority.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure how they're going to be laning this, because if you put anybody 1v1 against the Darkseer down on the safe lane, then that person is either just going to get dived or creep skipped for the entire game. So the Darkseer is pretty much going to get absolute free farm. So I don't know if going for an aggro try is necessarily an amazing idea here for Dog. If it was anything else aside from the Darkseer, maybe a more favorable 1v1, then I think you could say, okay, maybe it's like in mid, Invoker solo safe, and then Rubik Axe +1, trying to put some pressure on the Fnatic defensive tri lane. But Fnatic's heroes aren't actually, if it's going to be the Dream Protector, Disruptor, Tiny, it's not actually the weakest defensive try ever. So I am wondering what we're going to see with this Axe. Just, and talking about Axe for a sec, I think a lot of people's opinions about Axe are kind of formed based on jungle Axe, which is kind of slow. And if you mess up even a little bit, or the first couple of fights go badly, then he can end up, he's behind and he just doesn't really have much of an impact. But if you give Axe any kind of farm priority at all, which I think that's what we've been seeing some teams doing recently, like one position Axe, he's actually a pretty impressive hero. I think, you know, I used to think the same way, and then you realize that if you give Axe a good start, he can just go dunk fools the whole game long.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, Death Prophet, the last pick for Fnatic to round off their draft, and that will be the Hani hero headed to the mid lane. It's an Ancient Apparition, final pick for Team Dog. He'll be played by Poss, and joining Rubik, there's that AA Rubik duo. A lot of melee heroes this game. Fnatic with 3 strength heroes, and Dog with, well, only 2, but lots of strength here. And actually no agility this game. It's funny how that works out. Still sort of interesting drafts. It will be the position 1 Tiny. I think they'll build a tri-lane around him and then throw that Darkseer in the off lane. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to gauge the power of some of these heroes right now since I haven't seen them competitively on 6.81, but what do you think, Baseskip? Did anybody get a significantly stronger draft here?
I'm not actually sure, honestly. I mean, I feel like Dog got a lot of staples from the previous patch, and Fnatic are running some heroes that they're pretty comfortable with as well. Like Death Prophet and Tiny are not that wild as far as Fnatic's playstyle are concerned. So it should be interesting. I think a lot of it rests on the Axe. If the Axe has like a good start and starts moving on the map and setting up a bunch of kills, then Dog can probably start getting some push going. Otherwise, Fnatic, I think, should be all right to get to the mid game where they're going to be pretty scary.
Yeah, and it's sort of funny the other day when we saw that 5-man Axe dunk rampage. In that particular game, Axe had a solo lane against the Nyx Assassin, which is obviously pretty favored for Axe. He killed the Nyx solo in lane and had absolute free farm for the first 10 minutes. Had a Blink Dagger before the 10-minute mark, and LD specifically said, "Oh, it's just an Axe. How crazy could he get?" Yeah, 20 kills later, Axe is winning them the game. So a hero that can definitely snowball out of control, especially if he hits a fast Blink Dagger, can be a little bit like the Centaur. Not quite as much utility as Centaur's ult is global, but still, he plays a similar role with that early Blink Dagger, hopping in, popping the Berserker's Call, and cutting people's heads off. No tail. He may walk right into this 5-man train, but he'll scout it out in time, and Disruptor will scoot back to safety. Dire do throw down an Observer Ward, so they have plenty of vision about where these heroes are now, and I don't think we'll see a level 1 engagement, but suppose it's possible.
30 seconds to battle.
Yeah, so looks like Dog kind of just setting up shop to play aggressively here. So it looks like, what's the plan? Who's actually going to be in the tri-lane, or are they going to just leave some wards here and back off? I really like this award that No Tail plopped down right as he saw them moving in, because he actually just got a bunch of great information as to where all of the wards are placed and what's blocking their camp, what's scouting them out. So should be able to go and get rid of that pretty quickly.
Yeah, we saw Fnatic ping out this Observer that's poking into the lane, and I'm pretty sure they know where it is and can land an easy sentry. Fnatic put their other Observer down on the high ground about the top rune to get a little bit of rune control. Now let's talk about these positions a little bit and introduce our rosters. On the Radiant side, we will have Team Dog, and they have Axe in the bottom lane, played by MSS. In the mid, it will be Fada, playing on the solo Invoker. And up top, that's where the tri-lane will be. Poss on the Ancient Apparition, Pycat on the position 1 Lycan, and that will be Misery on the Rubik. But Misery, he picks up a haste rune. Of course, it was scouted out by this Dire Ward. Fnatic will see it coming, but he'll wrap around and perhaps try and get a little bit aggressive here in the top lane.
Yeah, and Fnatic, I think this is very smart from them. They kind of realize that this is going to be the aggro try, and then to try and free things up, they're just going to put pressure down on bot. MSS already in some trouble.
Yeah, he sure is. That's going to be your first blood coming out. Trixie rotates down, and the Ion Shell just a little too much for the mighty Axe to handle. And, wow, I didn't think the first blood would come out that quickly, but this early rotation from Fnatic already well worth it. It was actually the Darkseer that picked up the bonus gold. So great news for Fnatic out of the gate.
Yeah, super fast Soul Ring for the Darkseer, and we might even just see No-Tail camp out down here just to make life as difficult as possible for the Axe. I think if it's just a 1v1, then obviously the Darkseer can't really get up to any creep skipping shenanigans, and the Axe can actually clear out the waves pretty quickly. So that's the one matchup that I didn't consider out of Dog's lineup, and that I think would actually be an okay 1v1, but definitely with the Disruptor hanging around and just roaming from lane to lane, it makes life a lot more difficult. And the other big thing for Fnatic here is, even though they don't have a jungler or anything to apply pressure to mid and the side lane,
Speaking of mid, yeah, Misery wraps around. This time the Sunstrike, well, actually, it looks like it was off the mark there, and that'll be enough for Honey to survive. Now No-Tail comes in. They'll turn it around onto Misery. Cryptswarm off the money, but the Thunder Strike is enough, and No-Tail gets the second kill up on the board. Talk about being in the right place at the right time, riding that Raptor up to the mid, and keeping his Invoker alive. Or, pardon me, keeping his Death Prophet alive from the Invoker.
And living armor too strong.
Yeah. Only level 1 living armor, but it helps. It does a little bit here. And, we'll have a pause here. And this will actually give us time to introduce Fnatic. We've seen most of their players by now, but it will be Trixie in the offlane Darkseer headed to the bottom. In the mid, it is Hani playing on the Death Prophet. No-Tail is roaming around on the Disruptor. And up top, we do have Era, of course, on his position 1 Tiny. And here we see Fly on the Treant Protector. And right now, getting engaged upon in the jungle by the Ancient Apparition. Pycat's nearby, but I don't think they'll be able to do too much. Looks like somebody knocked on the old Fnatic door.
Yeah. And I guess I'll handle Dog real quick. So over on Team Dog, handling the Dog, we've got Pycat on the Lycan. We've got Fada heading towards mid as the Closet Exort Invoker. Misery's making his way down bot now as the Rubik MSS is on the safe lane Axe. And I've missed somebody, which is Pass getting his head beaten in.
Yeah.
Over on the Ancient Apparition.
He's getting branched hard by Fly right now, but they will just both scoot back to safety. And counter warding, looks like Fnatic did get that ward after all. They put down a sentry. And, yep, they get a little bit of vision control here on the dire side of the map, or at least into their jungle, which is absolutely great news for them. Their pull camp, however, is still warded. There is a sentry tucked in the trees, so they won't have that epic lane control that they're looking for. And now No-Tail rotates up top. It's a 2v3 once again. Kinetic Field comes out onto Pass. Era on point with the Avalanche. There's your toss. Fly coming to follow up. He doesn't have Leech Seed, still only level 1, but it's still enough for the kill. No-Tail finishes him off with another auto attack, and that makes it 3-0 here as Fnatic picking up momentum very quickly.
Yeah, and Dog looks like they just didn't completely think things through with going aggro here. They've now just kind of broken things down to duo lanes, but I don't think either of these duo lanes are particularly impressive, I have to say, against what they're up against.
Yeah, and down bottom, Trixie will get initiated on by Misery, but now he searches forward, has 2 points in that Ion Shell, still only level 4. Won't be able to find an easy kill, but boy is he being irritating down here. He's occupying 2 heroes easily, and he's still the last hit leader, 18-3. Axe only 8-0. So safe to say that MSS is struggling a little bit here on Hellboy, aka Axe. We'll see more initiation onto Trixie as he gets telekinesed into MSS. There's your Berserker's Call, and this time a Sunstrike will fly. It's on the money, and they secure the kill. Misery gets credit for that one, and there's your first kill of the game on the board for Team Dog.
Yeah, people just not giving enough credit to the global abilities here. Sunstrike and Living Armor, I think, setting up slightly unexpected kills in both the mid and bot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Lycan CS is actually pretty solid as well. On the flip side of things, Tiny is struggling in last hits. He's only 8-0, but we'll hold that thought as Poss gets glimpsed back. They should have plenty of damage to finish him off here. Likewise, No-Tail will fall as well. Pycat now on the aggressive. Wants to chase down Fly, but I don't think he'll dive this tower for it. And it will end as a 1-for-1. Actually, more of a favorable exchange for Team Dog. Lycan got, actually, no, the supports got both the kills, but Treant was the one that got the kill on Ancient Apparition, and I don't even think Era got assist gold for that. He wasn't close enough. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, another fight will break out. No-Tail rotates, they'll get a kill on Axe, and Trixie, he wants to chase down Misery. No telekinesis, no mana for Fade Bolt, but Trixie just can't dive the tower. So they'll get another kill on Axe, but that's all.
Yeah, they didn't have anything quite up in time on No-Tail to be able to go for that dive, so they're wisely back out. I think just good communication overall from Fnatic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and interesting build from Hani mid on this Death Prophet. 303 at level 6, actually opting to skip the Exorcism right away. Not too often you see that.
I think it's fine. The thing with the Invoker is he's just going to be he's quasi-exort, he's just going to be camping out the lane for a while here, so the opportunity to sneak something isn't that high. And oh, Pass dead again top lane.
Yep.
It looks like Fly's going to be the trade.
Yeah, this time it's a little bit better of an exchange, as Tiny was at least involved and helped set up that kill. Basically, yeah, Ancient Apparition came over to put this ward down. Of course, it was in vision of the Fnatic ward, so they countered it right away and also caught him off guard. So it was a twofold fail coming out from Dog on that one. In the bottom lane, they're getting aggressive once again on Misery and MSS, but this time won't have enough to secure a kill.
Yeah, Wall actually ends up being dropped there by Trixie, so plenty of action in in all three lanes at all times. Maybe not so much mid. It's a bit of a farm fest there right now, but yeah, not a big deal.
Yep, and No Tail, he's been pretty committed to just roaming around this game, but it's been successful for him. 3-1-2 at only the 6-minute mark, and has his arcane boots up as well as a magic stick. So he waddles his way down to the bottom lane once again. Axe, almost level 6, does have 3 points in the counter helix. And of course, we'll have Culling Blade and just another creep's worth of experience. Rubik now level 4. He's about on point. I think No Tail is, halfway through level 4 himself. Still doing a good job zoning out this Axe in the bottom lane. Tiny has found some pretty solid recovery farm in the top as they keep picking on that support Ancient Apparition. Now just about tied with the Lycan in terms of CS. Hold that thought, though, is down bottom. MSS initiated upon once again. There's your kinetic field to start things off. Trixie, he'll get dunked. Sunstrike off the mark. No Tail running forward to try and finish off MSS, but it's not happening. And the rotation from Pos proves successful as Fnatic feed a 0-2 exchange down bottom.
That was such a dangerous dive for Fnatic. I mean, just those two heroes don't have a heck of a lot of burst damage. So it gives enough time for the A to TP. And I don't even know if he was even needed there, really, but managed to get a turnaround 2-for-0. And we're just sort of trading back and forth, it seems, right now this game.
Yeah, and looking at the golden experience graph seems to reflect that. It's kind of all over the place with a small advantage for Fnatic, but nothing too crazy. Up top, Pycat, he'll just scoot to the other side of that kinetic field, but now support coming in. Tree, he gets tossed into Pycat. He takes a lot of damage from Era, but Era actually taking tower shots. MSS, he's throwing counter helixes left and right. There's your dunk on the tree, and he's going for another. That's a double dunk coming out onto Tiny. No Tail, now on the run, gets the kinetic field off. MSS will be stuck inside, and it'll expire. Battle Hunger already on. Can they press forward? Will this be the triple dunk? No Tail, still taking damage from the Battle Hunger. MSS now out of mana as he throws another one. Another kinetic field, and Axe will be forced to retreat. But there's some of that snowball potential of your Axe. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Trixie diving onto Misery, but a TP in from Pos will be enough to repel.
Yeah, the move speed on Culling Blade is amazing as well. You get that first dunk, and you just go absolutely wild. So, MSS, couple of easy kills, and puts Dog back on top. Looks like maybe even more action bottom lane. Invis Death Prophet on the way down.
Still no Exorcism, though. She's only so scary. This is now level 8. It'll be a level 9 Exorcism coming out. I mean, he's been spending a lot of time farming, hasn't been worried about pushing towers, so I understand the mindset, but in a situation like this, you're basically just a Crypt Swarm machine. That's all he can do. He doesn't even have silence. There's his phase boots, though.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised to see the immediate phase boots on Tiny this game. I think typically he plays a little bit more greedy on his mid heroes, and I've definitely seen him go travels on Death Prophet previously. Not as the first item, but I think it's a pretty nice item to have here in general, especially against Team Dog, just because the Lycan and the Axe are both so fantastic at pushing out waves. So if you have Boots of Travel, then you can be sitting around, you can hold back that lane that whatever hero is trying to split push.
And the tree gets chopped down in the mid lane, gets completely dunked. The giant blood spatter on the ground as Axe is really starting to pick up momentum. And with that Invoker, not some synergy that we really talked about, but Berserker's Call makes for pretty easy Sunstrikes. And that did assist that kill in the mid lane. Even without Exorcism, they're pressuring this bottom tower pretty hard. They force out 2 TPs, and now Fnatic will be in retreat mode. Darkseer takes a Battle Hunger, but does surge back to safety. He's well on his way to a mech, has the buckler and headdress, and about 600 gold in savings. So we'll have that recipe before too long, especially if they manage to finish off this bottom Tier 1 tower, though it appears that Fnatic will just rotate back towards the mid.
And Blink Dagger pretty much complete on Axe as soon as he wants to buy it, so MSS is only going to get scarier, and This laning configuration actually ended up working out really well, I think, for Team Dog. I mean, we said right at the very start, how well the Axe does is really going to determine, I think, how well that Dog does moving through the mid game, and I think he's very well set up.
Yeah, absolutely. A 10-minute blink is great news. That's faster than average, I think, for Axon, because he was able to pick up kills here. Of course, that changes the state of things. Spotted in the mid. Kinetic Field, Static Storm, easy kill for Fnatic. But the Wolf! It will find a 1-for-1. Yeah, the stolen Ion Shell from Rubik. But Misery will pay for his greed. He gets picked off in the end. It's a 1-for-2 going the way of Fnatic. But it's not over yet. MSS coming in. There's your first dunk. He's going to chase down Hani. Wolves are scouting it out. But now, out of mana, does have a Blink Dagger coming up. It won't be a dunk, but it may still be a kill. 2 TPs for Fnatic coming to this Tier 2 tower. That's enough to force MSS back, puts his tail between his legs, and heads back to friendly territory.
Wow, and Hani survives on a meager 19 hit points after the Battle Hunger and Wolf harassment.
Down bottom, Trixie. He'll dive onto Pos. There's a vacuum back. Ion Shell more than enough to finish him off. And Trixie puts another one on the scoreboard. All tied up, 10 apiece here at the 11-minute mark. This is one hell of a slugfest here, Base Kip. So many kills coming out. And finally, Dog will deny that bottom Tier 1 tower. There's your Mac out on the Darkseer following that kill. Fnatic, they're a little salty that that tower got denied. They'll rotate down bottom. They want to make a dog sandwich. I hear dog meat is good in this part of the world. Oh, Fada, he'll get stuck in the kinetic field. There's your tiny combo. First one's down. Now Misery. He's on the run. What's he got? He's stolen the Surge. That'll make him hard to lock down. But oh no, the Glyph! Or not the Glyph, the Glimpse. Yeah, pull him right back in the middle of the battle. That's a 2-for-0 down here in the bottom. And Fnatic, they find some vengeance after that tower deny.
Yeah, and I guess interesting to note that with quite a bit of push on both teams, that's still the first tower to fall so far in the game. So I think Slugfest is a very apt way to describe this game so far.
Yep. Hani has finally leveled his ultimate now. Still hasn't used it yet, but level 9, has the Exorcism, has his drums complete now. So going for kind of a race car build. He may just opt for Yules after this. No Tail gets slapped in the face by a Sunstrike. Say goodbye to half your HP. Wolves will scout him out. AA Ice Blast just barely off the mark. I don't know that it would have been enough for a Shatter, but these Lycan Wolves, man, they are still so irritating in this patch, especially for supports to deal with. You just have no easy way to handle them. Crypt Swarm stolen by Misery, but he gets glimpsed back. Kinetic Field, they'll finish him off, and now MSS hopping forward, looking for the dunk onto No Tail. He'll whiff it, it gets canceled, the Overgrowth interrupts him. Tiny gets a double kill as Axe falls, it's about to be a triple. Say goodbye to your Ancient Apparition. It'll be a 3-for-0 exchange in the mid lane. First Exorcism proves successful, and now this Tier 1 tower will fall in the mid lane. It may be a tower for tower exchange, but still, very good news for Fnatic.
And Fnatic have just been moving as a ball for like the last 2 or 3 minutes, but it's actually working out okay for them. The Tier 1 tower top is definitely significant, but like you said, they got kills and they got a tower mid. And opening up the map for them by taking down the Tier 1 mid is pretty good news, because in the Radiant jungle, if they really want to try and secure some farm. And that's farming space that they kind of lost from their own jungle. So it's a bit of a map control exchange overall.
Yeah, I think so. And Fnatic, of course, are dire, so they have that Rosh advantage, and Death Prophet is a hero that works very well for Roshan control. Her ultimate cuts through him like butter. And Hani will, yep, like you mentioned, just farming in the Radiant jungle and burns his regeneration rune, now level 11, so has that level 2 Exorcism. Wow, experience really going the way of Fnatic. They have the top 3 on hero levels and 2 level 11 heroes. Highest on Dog is 9. The Tree, he'll walk up to the high ground, fly, just being that mobile ward right now, giving his team the valuable intel they need to not get dunked upon by this Axe any more than they already have. And now Fnatic porting towards the mid lane. They want to set this up. Fly is stalking them down, those big bulky branches in the front lines. There's your silence from Hani to start it off. Glimpse back onto the Axe. They'll pick off the Rubik first, but Axe falls shortly after, and it's a 5 versus 2 in the dire jungle. That's the power of the mobile ward, known as the Treant Protector.
Yeah, sniffs out the gank that was looking for whoever was mid and manages to turn it around into a 2-for-0.
Thanks for the shout out, buddy. I'm just kidding. Never mind. Bad joke. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now he gets it. I like it.
I'm slow tonight. That's for sure. It's been like 12 hours of uni work, and I was just planning on watching this game and then going to bed, or watching while I was in bed, and then you're like, oh hey, LD's not alive.
I feel a little bit bad. I had to beg you. I had to get on my hands and knees. Please, Base Kip, please. I don't want to solo this epic game, first game of the day. We've got 6 matches today, and then in the studio after it. Oh man, you bailed me out, buddy. I really appreciate it. But no worries.
It's fine. I'm enjoying this game a lot. And Fnatic just goes straight in for Roshan. I think they just ducked out of the Ice Blast. The Wolves are there. Can they do it? There's a vacuum.
Ooh.
No, okay.
No. Dire get
They're
it,
aware
and,
that the Wolves are there.
Yep, and Tiny gets the Aegis himself. Tiny had a double damage rune on as well, so that mixed with the Exorcism is pretty easy in terms of taking down Roche. Era now pretty close to his Ag Scepter, just about 1,500 gold away. How's Fly doing on items? He's got Arcane Boots, nothing else past that. And Hani, he's either going for a Shiva's or a Scythe of Ice, but he's got himself a Mystic Staff all ready to go with these Phase Boots and Drums of Endurance. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for this game for Dog is they have the Lycan, but they've still only got the 1 tower. So much of what you expect with the Lycan is just, oh, all the tier 1s are absolutely free. Like, if we have a Lycan, all of that gold is just ours by default. But with the lineup that Fnatic have, that's not really the case. There's not so many opportunities to sneak in with 1 or 2 heroes and pick up a tower. Oh, and Fada, has he been spotted? No. Okay, he just TP's straight out.
Yeah, they knew he was around somewhere, but couldn't find the interrupt, so he scoots out, but his 2 little fire buddies there are not going to be so lucky, and Tiny gets a small gold pick-me-up. Yeah, I feel like Dog just, they have no presence right now, and even though they have a pretty good pushing team, they don't have the team fight to be able to just shove into the towers. Invoker is reasonably poor. He did grab an early hand of Midas, but he's still on Brown Boots, Ring of Basilius. No Force Staff up yet, no utility items, and he is pretty easy to lock down if he gets initiated upon in these team fights. He's going to have to pick something up pretty soon. I think Force Staff will probably be his next item of choice. Oh, down bottom. High Cat going ham onto No Tail, but MSS following up now as well. They'll still secure the kill on Lycan. The Disruptor just too much for him between the Static Storm and the Kinetic Field. Now MSS on the run, but it's a 4 versus 1. Leech Seed, Toss, Silence, everything else under the sun, and they should have enough to secure this kill. Yeah, Tiny just clobbers him one last time, and they secure that kill.
Oh, another glimpse. No Tail's on the hunt. Can he find him? No, okay, Misery just going to pop the smoke, and away he goes.
Yep, plays it safe and makes it out.
Okay, so I think and again, just the really big thing for Dog is that they can't take a tower with just 2 people. They have to bring 3 or 4 to be able to really take a tower, just because they have to bring it from full to nothing against the Train Protector. But if they ever do that, they don't really have the teamfight edge. Like you said, the Invoker right now is just, he's got some flashy spells, but he doesn't really have any items or any way to move around the team fights just yet. So he's going to continue farming, but Fnatic are actually just going to start pushing themselves. They've got an Aegis in hand. They've almost got the Aghanim Scepter on the Tiny, and they know that they have the team fight advantage right now. And they're not even offering any trades, really. They pick up a couple of kills, they take a tower of their own, and get back in time to still defend.
Yep, they'll take out this tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. That's only 2 outer towers remaining for Team Dog, and still 5 remaining for Fnatic. A pretty big disparity there, and that pushes the gold graph now about 7,500 gold in Fnatic's favor, and experience is pretty comparable, hovering right around that 7,500 mark as well. Blink Dagger for No Tail has been picked up, and we saw him use it pretty aggressively in the bottom lane. Didn't find anyone, but just blinking forward right in the front lines. And there's your Ag Scepter up on Tiny. Still sitting in the safety deposit box back at the well, but the courier will be delivering it momentarily. And well, of course, that's when Tiny really comes online, and Dog will have their work cut out for him to deal with the Treant plus Tiny carrying a Treant of his own. Now Dog on the run up top. They're going to hop into the trees here and just try and TP home. Will they get caught? There's your vacuum. Clears out the trees. Misery makes it on the other side of the kinetic field. Steals the avalanche, but doesn't matter. Can't survive, and Tiny gets another one up on the scoreboard. Era is now unstoppable. 6-1-4. Top tier 2 tower taking some pretty hefty damage from the Forged Spirits and the Lycan Wolves, but that's okay. They've got a glyph, and Fnatic will be back in time to defend. They'll even keep this tower outside of deny range.
Dog just looked a little bit lost right now, honestly. They're like, well, we can't really push, because if we push in, we're going to force a team fight, and we can't win a team fight. They can't really split push at the moment because they don't have a heck of a lot of vision. Lycan gets jump mid.
He gets a glimpse into kinetic field Static Storm. Era's there to follow up. They don't have the damage to bring him down quite yet. Still has about half duration on the shapeshift. They need some way to slow him down. No Tail blinking forward. There's your kinetic field. Traps Pycat in, but MSS, he comes forward. He dunks on the Disruptor. There's your vacuum back. Lycan and Axe just get obliterated as Fnatic follow up. Great plays from Trixie's Darkseer as he gets into position. He's got himself a Blink Dagger, and it comes in handy right there, but they're not done yet. Now Rubik, he gets caught by the Avalanche. Follow up Crypt Swarm from Hani. What's Misery have? He hasn't stolen a damn thing. and may still be able to survive. Trixie blinks forward, but he runs the wrong way. Very unfortunate. Still a 1-for-2 exchange, but at the end of the day, Fnatic, ooh, Era, he gets hit by the Sunstrike, but just not enough damage. And then he walks into a regeneration rune. Luck be with him today, my friends. 22-11 at the 20-minute mark. Fnatic in great shape here against Team Dog.
Wait, has the Roshan indicator turned? It has, hasn't it?
Ooh, look at that.
What's up with that? Oh man, that messed with my mind.
That's weird.
Is that intentional?
I don't know. It's like,
So now the 0 for the Aegis being reclaimed is at the top instead of at the 9 o'clock position. So that's... I looked at it and I was like, oh,
yes.
Aegis should have been reclaimed. It's about to hit 8 minutes.
Everything's
but then I checked
rotated.
the Chinese inventory.
Yeah, everything's rotated 25% to the right.
Yeah.
So that's weird. I feel like that's one of those changes that has to be intentional. How do you accidentally rotate the Roche timer? You know, like it's weird though. I don't know. I missed that one in the patch notes.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes it read any better either. Like there's still definitely plenty of people that are confused about how this thing works, and
yeah.
I don't know if this stage is the confusing one. This is probably going to catch me off for the next couple of casts I'm on.
I'm glad you noticed, because if I hadn't looked at it and just looked over, I probably would have had that same, like, wait a second, are we in the Matrix? What's happening here? Kind of a moment. But yeah, I finally learned how to read the Roche timer, and it's not that hard once you get the hang of it, but it's not very intuitive. We'll see No Tail get aggressive again. He blinks forward after the surge. Static Storm Kinetic Field out on Fada. Fada's got a Necro Book, level 3. He pops it. Will it be enough to keep him alive, though? No Tail taking heavy damage. MSS blinks forward. There's your dunk. Fada's still on the run. He's alive for now. Trixie, he falls. Ancient Apparition gets credit for that one. It's a 2-for-0 going the way of Dog. Fnatic may have overextended. Not may have. They certainly have. It's going to cost them these level 3 Necro units. Revealing Fly. There's your double dunk coming out from Axe. It's a 3-for-0, and we see that mini-map just getting drawn all over. Fnatic not happy with themselves after that trade.
Yeah, Fnatic's like, guys, come on. The plan was you push the lane, you take the tier 2. You push the lane, you take the tier 2. We take the safe path to the tier 2, we get the final tier 2. But instead they get caught out in the interim and do end up passing a few kills back to Dog. And I don't think that's particularly, good play from Dog. They took advantage of the situation, but it was really one that Fnatic presented to them.
Glimpse onto the Lycan, straight into the Tony. There's your Avalanche Toss combo, nowhere for him to go. Even the Exorcism gets popped by Hani. Easy kill, now Misery, he'll try and TP home. Interrupt, nope, nobody will get there in time. Era doesn't have the cooldowns available. But with Lycan dead, they'll just press straight through in the mid lane. Lycan does have a buyback available, also has an ultimate, may be forced to burn it here, but Lycan's farm is still just lackluster. Has no BKB and still not really that close to it. Exorcism online for just another second or so. Glyph is available, Dog will burn it. And that will delay the push for now. Unfortunately, Hani won't get healed up by his ghost friends as the AA Ice Blast does connect. Let's take a look at this Roche timer, and
oh, man.
It's still rotated. It's a little opey, but that is a 2-minute respawn time, give or take. So down to about a minute and a half or so until next Roche will be up.
I don't understand why you would have it start at the 3 o'clock position. Like
starting at the 12 just seems more straightforward in the way humans read clocks.
I don't know. Anyway, so if you're watching, Cyborg Matt, then you need to go and update your how to read the Roshan timer guide by rotating all of the images to the right by 25 degrees, by 90 degrees.
Yeah. Oh boy. So Fnatic, they've got a 5-man train here in the mid lane, and thought a fight may break out, but no one is inbound here. Oh well, look who it is. LD just came onto the set, guys. Don't worry. He's alive. He's alive and kicking.
Does he look drowsy?
That's an understatement. But yeah, he looks chipper. So
I'm sure he'll be fine. Casting as good as ever.
Yep. So holding on to about 11,000 gold, 7,500 experience lead. Fnatic are still in pretty good shape. Roshan now up in 20 seconds. And I don't see any reason why Fnatic can't secure it. It's really more of a matter of scouting than anything else. Invoker is finally starting to come online. We mentioned that level 3 Necro Book, but we'll hold that thought as Misery gets initiated upon once again in the top lane. No Tail showing off that Blink Dagger. Static Storm Kinetic Field. Too much for the Rubik to handle. Now Axe coming in. Surge onto No Tail, but he'll get dunked. MSS picks up another kill, and he's not done yet. He's going to chase down Trixie. The Darkseer is a little more difficult to pick off, but MSS does have a blink coming up in just 1 second. No, Ishkafel is just a little too speedy with that surge. And scoots back to friendly territory. Axe now going for Assange. Very interesting. I imagine it'll be a halberd, but I suppose it could be an S&Y.
No, I think it's just straight up going to be a Heaven's Halberd. Tiny doesn't really want to build a BKB if he can get away with it. So the Heaven's Halberd's a nice way to kind of either force him towards it or just have a fantastic way to deal with him in the fights.
Yeah. And Era is pretty close to his Manta. Has the Asha already, 2,500 gold. So after Rosh, he may be close to having enough. This is now back-to-back Roshans where Fnatic have lucked into a double damage rune right before they engage into Rosh. So last time it was on Tiny, but having it on Hani will make it pretty easy this time as well. And of course, Exorcism blown. It's barely even scattered out by the Radiant side. They've got a ward on the high ground here, but isn't really giving them much intel into the pit. Fnatic are kind of hugging the cliff. Rosh will fall, completely uncontested. And once again, it is Era who grabs the Aegis.
Yeah, and worth pointing out in that support for support trade top, but Fnatic actually ended up passing over their gem, I believe. Yeah, so that's over on the Rubik right now. So not as great a trade, I think, as they would have liked.
That's actually Rubik's gem, unless they changed the way it says who purchased what.
Are there multiple gems?
Or did they just steal it from Rubik?
Or maybe maybe No-Tail jacked the gem
and then
originally.
gave it back to him. Yeah, I think that's probably the most likely scenario here.
Maybe he stole it right after he killed Misery. So they killed Misery, he picked it up, they tried to get out with it, and then they just killed him and took it right back.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened.
Yep. Now, Darkseer has a Yule Scepter up, but Trixie is almost level 16 to get that next point in wall. And Hani, I think he's grabbing a Heart of Tarask. Has that Vitality booster in about 2,900, so not too far off the money. Could always be a Rod of Atos, but Heart a little bit more straightforward. Pretty solid itemization from Fnatic, just kind of across the board. Nothing too groundbreaking, but all pretty solid items. Treant has also picked up a Blink Dagger, so expect to see Fly connecting with better overgrowths. Not that his current ones have been bad, but has a little bit more utility now. There's your BKB on Lycan, though.
Speaking of itemization, I wonder if Fatha should have gone for something a little bit different this game. Like, I appreciate that Necro 3, it's a great pushing item, and it's also pretty good in teamfights. If you cold snap a support and you just send all of your summons on them, that support is pretty much guaranteed to die. But at the same time, they're not really going to push a tower unless they win a team fight, and I feel like there are other items that would have contributed to Dog having a little bit more of a chance in team fights up until this point, say Blink or Force or even the new and improved Yules. I mean, it's only a little bit of extra damage, but there's a couple of Blink Daggers over on Fnatic, so what was previously a nice way to respond to just being Yules comboed down is no longer the case. And there's a bunch of pretty squishy heroes that would just die, I think, to a Cyclone, Cyclone, Meteor, Sunstrike, Deafening Blast combo. So I wonder if there would have been something to say about maybe picking up a slightly different item build this game for Fada.
Yeah, he went for this pushing strat, but still Dog have not been able to knock down any towers except that top tier 1. And with a Lycan, a level 3 Necro Book Invoker, you would definitely expect them to be able to push better. But like we mentioned earlier on, it's more of a team fight issue. They just can't take Fnatic in a straight up 5v5. And their heroes are not particularly well suited for Rat Dota. I mean, Lycan is more of a, we win the team fight and then knock down your towers. The caveat is, well, you got to win a team fight here and there, and Dog have not really been able to do that. The only time they've taken a successful trade has been in friendly territory where they haven't been able to translate it to a tower push. Glyph is coming up in just a second here, and right in the nick of time as Exorcism as well as Tiny are doing quick work to this tier 3 tower. Glyph comes out, that absorbs a round of damage. But Dog will have to defend here. Pycat is in the mid lane trying to take out this tier 2. He will secure that tower, and he will have to TP home. But now this tier 3 is down. Fnatic moving straight into the racks. No Glyph. Era just branching him down. Melee getting very low. Now MSS, he hops forward, but no Berserker's Call. He gets silenced. He won't be able to dunk either. He'll be forced to retreat. No-Tail hops forward, connects with 3 on top of the Static Storm and Kinetic Field. Rubik, Invoker, first to fall. MSS barely survives, but he's been completely repelled. Rax have fallen, and now Fnatic. They will take this by streaming force, but no, actually, Pycat never retreated. He canceled his TP, and now he's going to take out that tier 3 tower in the mid. He'll clear out a lane of Rax as well. Only the ranged fall. Melee will stand. He gets glimpsed back. No, he doesn't. Pops the BKB, and he will TP home. Great use of that Black King bar, and he's actually kept dog in this game. That was not a good trade for Fnatic.
I mean, not as clean as it could have been for Fnatic given the position that they're in, but there's nothing stopping them just waiting for cooldowns and then marching down middle lane to equalize things there as well. So
there will be a hard
really
up
nice,
on Hani
nicely
now.
played by Pycat, but
yeah. I think Fnatic could have just ported back a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure he was TPing home. Maybe he wasn't since he still had the cooldown available. I thought I saw him channeling, but guess not. And yeah, they could have just come back a little bit earlier, and it is only ranged Rax, so still, like, I shouldn't have said it wasn't a good trade. Still a favorable trade for Fnatic, but I think Dog got a lot more out of that than they probably should have. Heart of Tarask up on Hani will make things a little bit easier. He is level 16, level 3 Exorcism, and Tiny is, I think he was level 16 beforehand, but he's still quite scary and still has the Aegis, which is what's important. Buyback status is looking much better for the Dire than it is for the Radiant. They did have to burn 2 buybacks in that last fight on Rubik as well as Invoker. So this could be the final push. No glyph available either.
Yeah, I wonder if they go up this wave because they know the Ice Blast was just used. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, they
indeed.
will. Okay.
Yep, there's your Exorcism from Hani, and they go straight in onto the tower with this fresh creep wave. Lycan in the bottom lane. He's pressuring a tier 1, and he's just not going to have as much room to push this time. He may get a tier 1, maybe a tier 2, but mid lane of Rax will definitely fall. Tier 1 tower's already gone down. Lycan still not TPing home. He's just farming creeps. Meanwhile, in the mid, there's your initiation from No-Tail. Overgrowth to follow up. Rubik, first to fall. Axe, he'll go down second. Trian actually does get taken out in the mix as Pycat does make it back home. Pops the BKB. Shapeshift on, trying to go ham on these these Dire side heroes, but won't be able to find it. They're just too elusive, and that Surge making things very difficult. The rest of his team completely repelled. They're cornered in their base. They do proc the Aegis onto Era, but they've got no response after that. There's your mid lane of Rax down. Pycat heads back to the bottom lane to try and chip at this tier 2 tower, but I think to little avail as Fnatic just rotate down for the last lane of Rax.
Yeah, and Era still has Manta Style available, so looks like he's just going to beat this tier 3 down, no contest. Pycat's doing his best, but no. It's not really accomplishing a hell of a lot.
Just can't push fast enough, especially without even a Necro book. Maybe the Necro units would make this a little easier for him, but he just doesn't have the pushing power. His Rax are about to fall while he's working on a tier 2 tower, and even if he gets this lane of Rax, it will still be Megas versus one lane standing, and Fnatic should be able to just seal the deal and take out the tier 4s. We'll see a dunk onto No-Tail before it's over, but Axe will pay for his treachery. Now Pos and Misery just trying to bide time right now and pull them off the Rax and buy more time for Lycan. But No-Tail, he's respawned. He needs to be a little bit careful here. I'm pretty sure that Lycan can solo him down. Tiny got picked off by the Ancient Apparition. And Lycan will come back. Ranged Rax still standing. It's not Megas quite yet. That's not Lycan, pardon me. That is Axe. Although Lycan is on the retreat. No-Tail was enough to scare him away, apparently. Meanwhile, in the Radiant base, Yule's used on Axe. They just want to finish off the barracks. Vacuum to try and buy some time. Shiva's as well. Hani gets Telekinesis. Does have another ultimate available, but doesn't have the mana for it. This barracks is just so low. The Berserkers call on 2. Culling Blade on Hani. Oh, it's a double dunk. And Axe gets a double kill on the Darkseer and Death Prophet. The barracks still fall. That's mega creeps, but at least Dog get to go out in some style. There's your GG.
That was a stylish way to finish their Axe, just with the opposing team's illusions.
Yeah.
That's salt in the wound for sure.
Absolutely. But Fnatic do take a rather convincing win over Dog. Looks like some of these 6.8 heroes. Still early to say if they're falling out of style or if Dog just misplayed it, but Lycan and Exort Invoker seemed pretty lackluster compared to how they were even just yesterday.
Yeah, I think Fnatic just had a really nice plan in mind for the Lycan, and then also I think the way that Dog chose to set up their lanes and the way that they kind of went into it, I think, hoping that they could keep the tri-lane versus tri-lane locked up on top lane for a little while longer, but No-Tail made those great early rotations around the map, turned around that kill on mid, got the first blood down on bottom lane, and then again we talked about it during the mid game. Just Dog didn't have the team fight power to be able to deal with Fnatic once they got the ball rolling. But I think the other really nice thing as well was that Dog, they have some heroes that can potentially split push and play a little bit of Rat Dota, but that Disruptor is always the really scary thing as well. If you push up too close to a tower with not enough backup and you don't know where the enemy's wards are, then you can quite easily have a TP in from the Disruptor. You get glimpsed all the way back to the tower, and then you just straight up die. So I think very nicely played by No-Tail this game.
I agree. I think my MVP award would go to him for sure. He was involved in 24 of the 32 kills they put on the board, the highest kills and assist ratio of anyone else. He was 6, 7, and 18, and he definitely did pick up some of that early momentum for Fnatic. Looking at our standings here, that now makes Fnatic 3-0, and unfortunately Team Dog now go to 2-1, so that's the end of their undefeated streak. Fnatic in good shape for making the top 4. Coming up next, it will be Fnatic versus Virtus Pro for Summit EU, our second match of 6 today, and LD will be joining me. Again, Baseskip, thank you so much for stepping in and bailing me out for game number 1. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, and make sure you check him out on Twitter, guys. It's just at Baseskip. It is in the title of this broadcast right now. We'll take a short break, and then coming up next, Fnatic versus Virtus Pro. You're watching the EU Summit, powered by Twitch TV.